Hello. Hi, Judith.
Hello,
Thank you
Tendayi.
so much. I am so excited to having this conversation with you. I remember the first time I met you, introduced by Dotan, and I was like, where is this woman from? She's speaking a language that is my language. And,
Yeah,
there's some people in life when you meet, you just know that, yeah, you know what? There's a connection here. So I'm so excited to have you here having this conversation today. Um, we've been having conversations all month and about money. And, we had
right,
money and marriage with the Bunzoa bias. We
right.
had money and the gospel minister with Paul Valence. And today we're talking money and the small business owner. So thank you so much for cutting an hour out of your day today to have this conversation with us. How is it out there in North Carolina? I've got an auntie who lives there. What's
It
the
is, it is, the weather's actually really good today. We've had a couple of storms and high winds, and I think on the East Coast, northern side of the US, the New York area, they lost power for quite some time. So this is the time around when the weather is very temperamental.
Mm. I
But
mean,
it's good.
the sound of a storm sounds really good to me right now. We are breaking in a heat wave. so,
Absolutely.
so yeah, I read your CV and I'm like, where do I begin with this woman? Because, you've worked in banking for over 20 years.
Yeah.
You've done business analytics, you've done mortgage brokering, yeah. Um,
Mortgage and yeah,
Mortgage
banking.
advising, and you've done you do a lot of work with the young people as well. So amazingly, you've touched a lot of the chords that touch my heartstrings as well. I'm like,
Yeah,
we have to equip the next generation. They cannot fall into the same pitfalls
absolutely.
that we fell into. And your heart's passion is with women, isn't it? Equipping women with financial literacy, uh,
Women and children.
women and
Yes.
children. Wow. Tell me why or what you've seen over the years that makes this particularly an area that, you've decided to.
As a woman primarily,
Okay.
it's a little unfortunate that many of us grow to be adults
Mm-hmm.
before we even understand how money works. We
Mm.
come from a culture in Africa where in most of our sub-Saharan cultural backgrounds, our wives, our children are meant to stay home, cook, and have kids. So we do realize that times are changing. And in some families, they were emancipated earlier ahead of time. And so many of the girls were trained. However, most families actually go through life not knowing how to manage money. And you
Mm.
find out that when a parent dies, for the most part, the male, when they die, the fathers die, the families are stranded. I'm
Mm.
fortunate not to have been in that situation in the sense that both my parents are still alive. And
Mm.
fortunately, my father was a controller. But I have to
Mm.
be honest with you, even at the house level, we are not taught about money on a daily basis. I
Mm.
think it's in our education, we're not taught how to work with money. We're taught all the sciences, how to add, how to count, how to make money, but not making money for yourself. It's
Mm.
usually leave school, go and work here, or the
Mm.
government will employ you. Or even when in situations where you have a parent who
Mm.
did small businesses to send their children to school, you
Mm.
don't get the children succeeding that business. So
Mm.
we really don't have the fundamentals. Things are changing, and I'm hoping that I can contribute a little bit to that process so that we make
Mm.
every family, every child, every woman aware of their circumstances at all times, partner
Mm.
with their husbands, partner with their children to teach them about money and how
Mm.
to keep the family wealthy generations to come.
Wow, that's
Hmm.
awesome. And that just hits a chord, especially when you talked about people set up small businesses just to pay fees or just to get by. I'm making profit from selling clothes, or I'm making profit from just something as an interim. We never actually get to position or grow our businesses so that they outlive us, or have the right structures and tools. And hopefully today you'll give us a little snippet into, your life, and the
Exactly.
processes that you've seen, and how we as individuals can start to build uh, businesses
Hmm.
that grow from just being small businesses, perhaps to being businesses that we can hand over to the next generation, and they can take them onwards, because it's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of sleepless nights, when you start off. I'll speak for myself, you're the accountant, you're the treasurer, you're the marketeer, you're the um, advertiser, you're wearing every single hat there is on earth to make things get going, especially um, if it's one of those circumstantial businesses, like you say, where it's because of a need or a scenario where you said, you know what, my 9 to 5 ain't cutting it. It's not paying the bills. I'm spending all the money on childcare. This is not working out. I need a way out. And it happens that you set up your business really to give yourself back the time, the flexibility. I'll speak for myself, the time to direct how your day works and not feel under so much pressure and stress. But then does one grow it from there? What key things have we got to be watching out for? So I'm going to hand over to you and just say, with that foundational concept, can you just tell us a little bit about what you've observed or your journey? Um,
My journey has been very, very interesting.
mm,
I came from humble backgrounds, but when I say humble backgrounds, it doesn't mean I lacked. We had what we needed. We
mm,
had were able to have parents who paid our way through some private schools back
mhm,
in Cameroon. So I got the best education, if you ask me.
mm,
So humble in the sense that I'm from a sub-Saharan African country. We were not poor per se. We were not wealthy per se, but we had everything that we needed.
mm,
However, growing up in that circumstance, would you have parents who want your best interest. So
mm,
they'll teach you because based on what they know. They
mm,
teach you based on what their environment, they're growing up, and the education that the community has to offer.
mm,
The first thing I noticed is that I thrived. I thrived in that community. Thrived because I had all the right tools. I thrived because I had parents who were able, and I
mm,
thrived because I was curious as
mm,
well. So I studied. I did everything as I could, went through secondary school, faced a couple of issues when I was in secondary school, slacked off a little bit, finished all of that through university. I did what young people would do. You explore different options of what it is you want to do. Initially, I settled on one of the main careers that the parents want you to do, which is the lawyer part.
mhm,
And when I decided I wanted to be a lawyer, my dad, I think back in the day, said, "Why do you want to be a lawyer? There's too many lawyers out there." If you ask him, I never really asked him what he wanted me to be, but if you ask him, he would have wanted me to do math, something related to math, because
mm,
he wrote math books. However, I left that to my younger sisters. They are the mathematicians. I was not having it. So, but anyway, funny enough, years after having moved to the United States, and again, the only reason I moved to the United States, that's just me, because most people viewed coming to the US and going abroad for further studies. And the
mhm,
idea was go and study abroad and come back home
um,
and work for the government. None of that really suited what I wanted to do. However, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And when I went through the university in my country, I ended up doing degree in languages, interpretation and translation, French, English, and I had a minor in German. So I did that. And even after I did that, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I knew for sure I was not going to go into translation because that
mm,
to me didn't make any sense. And I had to figure out what I wanted to do. Didn't
mhm,
know it.
mhm,
And anyway, the opportunity came and I came abroad and met my sisters over here. I started my MBA in France. And because of funds and because of money, again, I
mm,
wasn't able to finish it over there. So the
mm,
intention was to go to England and finish it over there.
mhm,
That didn't pan out. And again, you
mhm,
see when you're struggling and you're going through all this life struggles. Came out to the US. Initially, I was like, okay, law school back on. I looked at a lot of things. I'm like, I'm not sure about this law anymore. I've got to explore other options. That's how I got into the hotel industry.
Mm,
Started from ground up. Thought I loved it. It was really fun when I worked at it. And after a while, I was like, this is boring. This not only does it not have money, the kind of money that I want to make in life, but I don't think I want to do this for the rest of my life.
mm,
I love the customer service. I love being there for people, but this is not it for me.
mm,
Ventured into insurance
mm,
and working for an agent. And even then, that was not enough for me. Remember, I'm bouncing around all these places, but one thing I'm
mm,
not mastering is why am I bouncing around? Am I bouncing around because I want to make money? Am I bouncing around because I'm looking for some kind of fulfillment? When you
mm,
don't know what it is you want to do in your life and you don't have any goals, it is so easy to bounce around with no purpose. Find
mm,
out your purpose is the number one lesson I would tell everyone from my journey that has been around the world in job hopping, is what I would call it.
wow.
Finished from there, did some benefits consulting, did some car rental jobs. Again, no fulfillment. But remember, I'm able to make the job. I'm able to go from one day to the next. I'm able to pay the rent. I'm able to do all the things I need to do.
Mm,
Then you become a single mom.
mm,
Things change.
mm,
Things change. And again, that's also not what was in the plan for me.
mm,
That's not what you decide you want to do. Nobody
mm,
goes out there saying, I'm going to be a single mom. But things
mm,
happen, right?
mm,
So you have to decide something has got to give. I
mm,
have a young one I have to feed now.
mhm,
I can't keep bouncing around anymore.
mhm,
I've got to figure out a plan.
mm,
And so that's how I re-registered back into business school
mhm,
to get my MBA. And then I started working two jobs to sustain myself in school and
mhm,
raise my daughter,
mm,
which is pretty much the lifestyle of most people who
mm,
struggle with money. So
mm,
I was going to business school hoping that business school will give me what it is I'm looking for.
mm,
And when I was done with business school, despite making stints at other jobs such as an emergency room, looking at all the things that I can see, taking some lessons out of all of those experiences,
mhm,
after business school, I went back to a job
mm,
in the bank. Well, fortunately, I was in the banking industry already. So
mhm,
it gave me more insight as to how I could help myself on the job. It didn't give me an insight as to how I could help myself make a fortune for me
yes.
or make a career and a life for me. It trained me to be a better worker,
Hmm,
which is what we literally all are when we are working for other people. Business, when we say business, a lot of the times people think business means you don't necessarily have to work for somebody.
mm,
It means you have to have your own gig going. It
mhm,
means you have to be doing something that's only typical to you and you're making the money and you're the boss of that business.
mm,
That's not what business is
mm,
only. That's just one side of business.
mm,
That's the reason why you see lots of network marketing companies doing direct sales because you can do that and still have a daytime job. The theory is to be wealthy, you have to have at least seven income streams. At
mhm,
least. Nobody says you should limit it to seven income streams. They
mm,
just said for you to be successful, you're not going to be wealthy from working a job
no,
unless you're the CEO of that company. And
mhm,
even then, how many of us can be CEOs? And to
mm,
start a business doesn't mean the jobs are no longer valuable. No,
mm,
everybody needs everybody else's business. So the job
mm,
you're working on is someone's business or some
mm,
corporation's business that you will need. If at that time for you working is what you need to
mm,
start the business, so be it. Do that job
mm,
really well so you can start your side gig. What I advise people is make sure you know what your purpose is, what your goal is. What is your why? Why do you want to have a business? What is it you want out of life? What is the purpose you're meant to serve? Do you know what that is? If you don't know, make it a point to find out what that is. When
mm,
you find that, At that time, you will start redirecting your efforts. You will start redirecting your mindset, your thoughts,
Mm.
everything you do to
Mhm.
that purpose that you
Mhm.
have to serve. So
Whoa.
for me, I look at everything that I've been through. They were some of them were my failures.
Mhm.
Some of them were due to my own lack or due to my own lack of knowledge, I would say, or inability to perform in some areas that I was interested in. That could
Mm.
be it. That could be. But I
Mm.
viewed them at the time with this is not working, so I need to try other efforts. I
Mm.
never relented. I would try. I think I had a friend of mine once ask me, "You just got this other job. Why are you looking for another one?" I'm like, "Because there's something I'm missing. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with what I'm doing." At the time, I didn't realize it wasn't the jobs that were the issue. It was me. It was the fact that I didn't know what I wanted. I had no
Mm.
plan for my life. I had no I had no vision as to what it is I wanted to do. And
Mhm.
so I was bouncing around due to my lack
Mm.
of knowledge of self or knowledge of
Mm.
purpose, knowledge
Mhm.
of lack of knowledge of vision.
Mhm.
So we as human beings, women, men, children, you have to grow up, learn with a purpose. What do
Mm.
I want to do? Does
Yeah.
it mean you're going to do exactly what you said you wanted to do? Probably not.
Mhm.
However, I say business is two ways.
Mhm.
Do what you're extremely good at,
Mhm.
meaning for me, I'd worked all this job over the years. I had gathered quite a lot of skill in that
Mhm.
space. So now I was going to find a way to leverage much of the skills, all the
Mhm.
skills that I got, to
Mhm.
put it into something that I know.
Mm.
Still working on some of those initiatives. However, the fact is, I recognize that I still needed to put to use all of the knowledge
Mm.
that I have attained or acquired.
Mhm.
And the other thing I tell people is a business is doing what, like I said, you do the things you know how to do,
Mhm.
which come naturally to you or which you've
Mhm.
learned over the years,
Mhm.
or and have a need in a
Mhm.
society. And then the
Mm.
second thing is do what you dream of. What is your passion?
Mm.
What do you want to do? What steps have you taken towards that?
Yeah.
Personally, I would tell you I've always wanted to be a lawyer.
Mm.
But I think it was for the wrong reasons. I think I just
Mm.
like the fact that when these people are arguing in court, it's beautiful to see. Is that who I really am? No. So
Yeah.
my passion turned out not to be, or what I thought I liked at the time, turned out not to be what I wanted to do. And so I
Mm.
had to come back to terms with who I was and what is it you really want to do. And I started realizing over the years, I had picked up quite a bunch of skills that I think it was time to leverage. And that's what I'm saying.
Mm.
I would advise everyone who would like to do a business to understand where they are today. Understand how they got there. And don't spend too much time on that though, because
Mm.
your past is there for a reason. Your past is
Mm.
there just to show you what you need to learn from it. It's not to dwell on it. So
Mm.
what is it that you've learned from your past? What are the mistakes you've done? What are the failures you've had on
Mm.
there? What experiences did you get out of those so
Mhm.
that you can propel yourself into the new person you
Mhm.
want to become? Because at this point,
Mm.
you become you wanting to do and be the person that you want to
Mm.
be, not someone telling you who you have to be.
Wow. That's amazing. And you talked about all these years bouncing back and forth and doing different things. So that was your way of acquiring skills, and I love the way you put it, because some people could look at it and say, "Oh my gosh, I haven't." Your glass is half full. It's like, you know what? I was on the job training. I've got so many tools in my kit bag that I can use to go forth and now do my purpose or my passions, and monetize them. And I think that's one of the other things that I want to go at now, because um, this whole jumping back and forth, people also do it with these small businesses that you've talked about. One minute you're doing this, one minute you're doing that, the next MLM comes up, "Oh, my sister, you need to join this one." And it's like, okay, I've got 300 pounds worth of kit in my house from last time. It looks like they're the ones making the money with my money.
Mm-hmm. That's
um,
true.
and not being able to sit back and say, "Hold on, am I actually cut out for such a business model? Am I cut out? Because, believe me, I remember times where you think, my family aren't going to want to pick up my phone.
Yes.
Because they'll be like, oh, Tendayi started with her. She's trying, what is she selling now? You know what I mean? But you understand that that trains up the sales skill, that boldness, that understanding that actually I can go out there with my product and be able to be, and have an exchange with someone for
Right.
value, for money, which is a good training ground. I find that a lot of those small businesses train you that, but if you don't learn the lessons and you just keep hopping, jumping, skipping, you're
Mm-hmm.
actually not going to make any profit from any of them,
That's true.
and you waste valuable time saying, oh no, this one will work, that one will work, that one will work. And now I look at it and I'm like, okay, right, that one, I can already see how hard that is to get money out of that one.
Yes.
Fair play, good luck. You're better off. Some of them, I said, you're better off taking your £300, going and playing with some oils, packaging them under your own label, setting up a website and selling them yourself.
Right.
What stops you from doing that? Because that's what somebody else has done. So for me, I am often thinking, what stops us once we've learned all these things we learn along the way?
Right.
What stops us now from investing in ourselves, investing in each other? Like, you've got a business model that you've set up. You're working at it and you're diligent and you're showing that, yep, this is where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
Investing in yourself, investing in each other, rather than continuously, the parable of the seeds, where
You plant
you scatter your seeds everywhere, some on rocky ground. And if you do that for the majority of your life and never stop and think, hold on, what are the things on this journey that I enjoyed the most, that were most lucrative? Because it's about time, isn't it? Time, and where can I
Yes.
trade my time off and get the best results, monetary wise?
So I tell you, of late I've been listening to lots of different people, successful people. One of the ones that keeps sticking out at me when it comes to time is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger has this thing where he says everybody is given 24 hours. However, some people spend you use the first 8 hours, who knows, for work and for other things, daily things, and then some people sleep 8 hours. He says, I sleep 6 hours, or rush your sleep, which means the reason he's saying that is because many of us would say we don't have time. What don't you have time for? You have the 24 hours we all have. You go work at someone else's business for 8 of those hours, 8 to 10, sometimes 16 hours, and you come home and you don't have an hour to give yourself for your own business, for your own thoughts, for something that would make you move further, for something that would commit you to your own success. What is it about time that we cannot afford ourselves the time to learn what it is we want to do in our lives? That's the number one thing. Then the second thing that I tell people is time fleets everyone. The only thing you have when you don't use your time appropriately is regrets. And in many cases, no resources, no funds, no money. We can all do we've seen people who've had nothing commit themselves to doing and doing and doing. You repeat, even on days, you repeat successful habits, even on days that you think nothing is going to come out of it. A lot of the times when you see people successful, you don't see the hours they spend. Like in the case of Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he got to this country, we didn't see the hours he spent at the gym. He used to sleep sometimes 4 hours at most. He would spend hours at the gym, go to work in the daytime, do whatever else he needed to do, and go and work himself out so he could do his bodybuilding. If you don't put the time into what is valuable to you, what exactly are you using your time for? You realize you're giving your time away. Time is money. We hear time is money.
Mm,
Watch where and with whom and what you spend your time on.
mm,
That lesson came for me pretty late.
mm.
So at least the lesson came. That's the
Same.
most important thing.
Yeah.
Some people never get the lesson. So I
Mm,
got the lesson and I had to step it up. So
mm,
I commit myself. I'm still working, but I commit myself every day to 2 hours every day
mm,
for my own businesses, my
mm,
own side businesses. I have to put in those 2 hours. If you don't put in the 2 hours, you'll never get that customer. You don't put in the 2 hours, you'll never reap the rewards of that um, business you're doing. If you don't put in the 2 hours, you'll never learn more than you did not know before you put in those 2 hours. That's me. How much time are you putting into your own business, into your own life, into developing yourself, into learning a new skill, into partnering with the right people,
yeah.
to understanding that business that you want to get into? How much time are you putting into it?
Wow. Yeah, and I guess when you become dedicated to the cause or to the business, it's easier even to attract, the right partners. It's easier to attract funding,
It's funny you
because
say that.
yeah, because actually you've got evidence that you yourself are serious about what it is that you're doing.
So
Um,
it's funny you say that. I want to bring a thing that's a very common thing about what you just said. When you spend the time, it's easier. The universe somehow works to correct and redirect you to all the right resources. And the reason being, you are committed. When you're committed to your goal, when you're committed to your purpose, when you're committed to your why, and you're putting in the efforts to do what you need to do, somehow the universe works to redirect you. I want to liken it up to, and Tony Robbins is the one who does this really well. I don't know the technical word he used for it, but I'll give you the example that's most commonly known. When you buy a Toyota Camry, or when you decide you need a car, and you go to the dealership and you decide you want to buy a Toyota Camry, the moment you walk out or you drive out of the dealership with that Toyota Camry, what is the first thing you do? You notice. You notice every other Toyota Camry that's on the street.
yeah, true.
Every other one. Is that because there were no Toyota Camrys on the street? No. Now your whole mind, your whole body, everything turned in your system is turned to what your goal is and that's all you would see. That's the same way as our businesses, as our lives, and as our work, just anything you do in life. When you've made up your mind and committed to doing something, the universe has a funny way of redirecting you to see only those things that would elevate you, promote you, open up the door. Data analysis. Okay, you have it in technology today. Do a small search in Google about cars. And before you know it, how many ads do you get on cars? You're like, how did they know? How did they know that I was looking for a car? How did they know? That's how the world works. That's how our lives work. So we have to make sure that we're spending the right time on the right things.
And what would you say to someone who's contemplating starting a business? They've always wanted to, but they're sitting on the edge and thinking, I don't know if this is for me. Um, you know, what
Okay.
sort of advice would you give someone like that? Is business for everybody? I have this model that I'm working on, where I say that it's actually one of the seven core things of your life, and
Yeah.
everyone has it, but some people just choose never to pick it up. And business is really how you create wealth, because you're not going to create wealth that lasts beyond you, literally just on the 9 to 5 job. Some people say, yeah, well, but I bought a property out of the money that I earned from the 9 to 5. Yes, that's good because you actually diversified and you went into something else. Those properties became income streams, or it's something different, and you set them up as a business. But if you just stick to one 9 to 5 job and just don't put your money elsewhere where it has the propensity to grow or appreciate, you know.
So if someone who doesn't want to do, someone who wants to keep working a job, there's nothing you can do about that person.
Mm,
However, I'll say this. I like to demystify business, and one of the things that actually scares many of our people, and now when I say many of our people, those who are not like me back in the day who did not understand what business was all about.
Mm,
Business to me is not business, some term that people can't achieve. Business is what is your skill? What is your uniqueness? What is your art? What are you good at? What is it that you can share with people that would provide a need? Or for some people, in the actual business terms, what solution are you providing
mm,
as far as product or service
mm,
or skill or talent that is marketable?
mm,
If you don't have something that you can market, or if you don't think you have something that you can market out to people, I always say go back and do as I did. What are the things over the years that you have acquired as skills, as talent? Because you may not have had it naturally, you may not be thinking about it naturally, but we all have something that we have learned over the years that we're good at. I'll give you an example. My mom literally did every business that we could think of.
mm,
So my mom we made carpets. We made oriental carpets. We
mm.
made chair backs for Africans, those who know what I mean. You know, the little
Yes,
big cloth. We made chair
Madoizi.
backs.
We used to call them Madoizi.
Yes, and we put them on the back of the seat, right?
Yeah.
And then we made we made what's called oh gosh, crocheting, knitting,
Mhm, mhm,
needed. So we made and along the roadside when we were younger, my mom also taught most of the girls who lived with us, because we had lots of other family members and who lived with us, taught them how to sell what's called puff puff
mhm,
and sell by the roadside,
mhm,
so that they could pay their school fees to go to school and do all those things. So over the years, we have acquired those skills,
mm,
whether we liked it or not, because we did it. If I wanted to be a caterer today, I would be a caterer, because my mom would go and pick up meals for parties and places and say, come, you guys are making cakes for this family. You guys are making chin chin for this family. You guys are making coconut sweet, whatever it is that she went and picked up. She'll come and bring it to us. We got that training
yeah.
growing up. So if I decided today that I wanted to do a business and I didn't know what to do, I have a slew of things I can pick from. I can start
Mm,
catering if there's a need for it. I can
mm,
start kneading. I can find a place. If there's a need for it. I can start selling the puff puff if there's a
mm,
need for it. So I
mm,
say, if you don't know what your talent or your skill is or whatever it is, go to your background and find out some of those things you've learned. Or
mm,
if you admire something, go see if you want to learn about that thing and then do it.
mm,
But
mm.
you can't just sit and say, I don't have any skill. You
Yeah.
can't sit and say, I don't have. I'll give you an example of that puff puff sale
Mhm,
that somebody turned into a multi-level, multi-million business in Cameroon. The puff puff I told you about that was being sold by the side of the street.
right.
It is, yes. It's a staple breakfast in our community. You eat the puff puff with beans
Mhm,
and with pap. Pap is what the Nigerians call akamu, and it's like a bouillon. It's cornmeal liquidy, so it's like
mhm.
porridge
Porridge,
in the
yes, I
morning.
do.
Yes,
That's
sort of.
yeah. Well.
So that's a staple breakfast in our country. However, some guy left from Belgium or Germany, went back to Cameroon, and realized, with the conditions of the streets and the dirt and the roads not being as much as good as they are, dust and everything else, and the fact that we like that staple meal, he built a first franchise called Chop Eyamu. He
Mm,
built that. The three main meals are puff puff, beans, and the bouillon pap that I
mm,
told you about.
mm,
That's it. Just like IHOP serves breakfast throughout the day,
mhm.
those are his three staple meals.
Wow.
Was so successful that he opened up another branch in another big city.
Mhm,
And now he's exploring opening up other franchises across Africa. He's exploring Cote d'Ivoire. He went out there to see if he could do it in Cote d'Ivoire. These are things that, would you tell me that he had always wanted to do that as a child growing up?
mhm.
No. He
Wow.
saw the need for it. He
Mm,
realized there was this skill he had in his background. He personally tastes like almost all the mixtures that are made in his restaurant. That is what many people can do. Can like look at your community, look at the needs of your community, look at the market, fulfill that gap, fill it up with your skill, acquired or inborn. Fill it up, and you'll be good.
Wow, awesome. I mean, Sam's asking, how do I know if my product is marketable, or that my skill is marketable? Because I think that's one of the things that we may be scared to do, to actually charge for something. People come to you and say, "Oh my gosh, I've spoken to you for now, and I just feel so peaceful now. Every time I speak to you, I leave feeling so encouraged." And I'm like, okay, how can I monetize this? Every single person who
How can you
comes,
monetize it?
yeah.
Fear is the first thing that you
Mm,
mentioned. We are afraid of how successful we can be. Go
mm,
out there, do some surveys in the
mm,
area. If you don't have the money, ask around. What is it that some people need? Depending on what kind of business you want to get into, you can
mm,
always scale it. You have to do some minimum survey. You have to have a plan and you have to have some kind of a marketing structure on how you're going to do it. But your marketing structure is going to be based on whatever research you have done. So
mm,
research that skill or business you want to do, that service. Look at the area you want to go invest in or you want to do the business in. Talk to people. They think would be good for them. Or if they had something like this over here, would they take a day out? Remember what I said about time? Take the time to
mm,
do appropriate research for your business. If it's a product that is marketable, find out the people who need the product, visit them, send people to ask questions, call them on the phone, do a small questionnaire, something, anything. But you've got to have some minimum knowledge of who is going to be buying your product so that you can create your niche. And when you start, I always say start small, but think big.
mm,
So, a lot of times people mix it up and say, oh, I have to start small. You're not starting with a small thought. You're
mm,
starting with a very big thought,
mm,
but you have to scale it down some so that when it picks up, you will have leverage. You would have figured out based on your marketing structure, based on your funding, based on your finances, how it's growing and your resources and the people who are helping you in it. In case it's a partner, you have to know who your partnership is. In case it's you have to take into consideration the environment. You have to do sort of like a small SWOT analysis for yourself. What do you think will be the strength in this area? What do you think is a threat to that business that you want to do?
mm,
Who is your competition? Who's currently doing what you're doing today? How can I stand out when I start doing my own business? But the
mm,
one thing that's not going to get you out the door is fear. Overcome the fear. I'm a fan of Gary Vaynerchuk. He says, go out there and do it. Just go out there and do it. I can guarantee you, you will fail.
mm,
If any of us thinks that we're going to be successful without a failure, we got it all wrong. You are going to fail. But what is failure? Failure is not necessarily that you won't succeed. Failure is just one tiny little battle in the war. So when you fail at this thing, figure out the best way to not. Now you know that, okay, that way doesn't work. Let me do it this way. It's often said Edison, who created the light bulb, after the 1,000th time,
exactly.
1,001 time, it worked.
Yeah.
So he doesn't see it like he failed 1,000 times.
Yeah.
He tells you, I learned 1,000 ways how not to do it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have to stop we can't be listening to things and not doing and being those things that we hear. Put into action everything
Step
you
out of the
hear
boat.
that you think. The power of your mind. Someone said it the other day, a girl, and I just really loved her quote. She says, I tell my mind what to do, and my mind gets my body working. So if you don't put it in your mind is not going to kick it into action. Change your mindset, overcome your fear. But whatever you do, take that first step. It may be the research first. It may be what your commitment is. It may be your time, how you're spending your time. It may be what you discovering what it is you want to do. But take that first step. You will never know how excellent you are until you move that. You to make that move.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's funny you're saying that it's the same lesson I had with my daughter yesterday. She loves baking, very creative, and she makes some amazing things. But yesterday she decided to make some brownies. So she spent her £5 on buying all the ingredients, and she put it there, and then she says, "Okay," but she put it on overheat, and it burned, and she was
Oh,
so upset. She cried. She's like, "I never want to do baking again. That's the end of that." And she was really upset. And I said, "What about your bakery? You said you're gonna have a bakery one day." "Oh, that I'm no good at it," because she's young. And I said, "But you just learned that actually next time you need to pay attention to the temperature. All your
exactly.
ingredients are right. You know that if I put it on too hot too quickly, it's gonna burn."
Yes.
So sometimes even in businesses, sometimes we try and grow too quickly, and we put high pressure on
Yes.
ourselves and those around us, and the thing comes crashing and burning. And it's not that the idea was wrong, but it's just that you tried to do it all too quickly.
Yes.
And it's just resetting and saying, "Okay, hold on. What if I simulate this and plan it better and, drop things in rather than saying, right, I'm going to open the shop and I'm going to sell clothes, shoes, dresses all at once, and maybe start with one thing and then add on, so a bit more patience, I guess, isn't it?"
And patience, make that plan. Even if you have to scribble it on a piece of a napkin somewhere,
Mm,
have a plan that you are working towards. Because if you don't start checking off those boxes on the plan, how will you measure your success?
mm,
Check off one thing, check off the next thing. Some of them can be done simultaneously, but
mm,
you've got to start checking off your boxes,
mm,
regardless of whether it's written on a napkin, on a paper, or in a
mm,
computer. If you need funding, for those who need who need extra funding based on their big ideas, right? You're not going to go present anything to someone who's going to offer you funding if you don't have a formal plan. If
mm,
you don't show me how you're going to spend my money, why would I give it to you?
mm,
So you need to put some thought into what you're doing. So in your daughter's scenario, she did everything right.
mm,
Everything right. However, she forgot to ask the people who built the machine, which is the oven,
mm,
what temperature is best to do her cookies.
mm,
So as you said, she's learned now not to do it at very high temperatures. She
mm,
may need to regulate it, and if she doesn't know what right temperature is, this is a good moment to ask, research, and find out how to bake certain kinds of cookies at what temperature in the
mm,
oven. We have lots and lots of opportunities to improve and fine tune all our gifts on a daily basis. But if
mm,
you don't make that commitment by using your time, you don't plan what it is you want to do, you don't put in the work, repetition,
mm,
keep doing the right things every day, and it will perfect itself.
mm.
Just as simple as that.
Wow. And I love that, because when I look at many people who had small businesses or small ideas that ended up growing, just what you've said, that they focused on their idea, they kept working on it, kept perfecting it,
Yep.
kept fine tuning it. And many a times they were identified, and someone says, "I want to invest in that," because I guess capital is one of the limiting factors,
Yes.
isn't it? To scale your business or to really go big with it, because you're taking your profits and re injecting, and it can take a long time if you're
Yes.
doing it on your own. Whereas there are actually people out there who have the money, who can give it to you based on a sound business plan. You can borrow money to do
Exactly.
it under your business, or you could have partners who say, "You know what, I've got the money, but I want to invest in something that's growing. That looks pretty good to me.
Right.
Can I give you the money to do it?" But unless you, as a small business owner, have worked it yourself and committed yourself,
Yes.
it's very difficult to do, isn't it?
I totally agree with you. So there's many ways you can fund your business. You can do the bootstrapping thing where you save every dollar you've ever worked in your life. Again, that's why I remember I told you in the beginning, a 9 to 5 job is not necessarily a bad thing. A
Mm-hmm.
9 to 5 job is always, I mean, it's always a good thing to have some steady income coming in
Yeah.
for some people in depending on their situations. And
Mm-hmm.
but if that is your only source of income, that is a problem. Because
Mm-hmm.
as it's often said, many of us are one paycheck away from poverty. And in some cases, homelessness for some others. Because not everybody has some friends and people who take them in when you don't have any money. And I'm still waiting for the Good Samaritan renters or landlords whom in this country would just allow you to sit there for so much time and not pay. After
Mm-hmm.
that, so much time, the sheriff is at your door saying you need to get out. However, that's why we encourage you, know what it is you want to do, write it down, scale
Mm-hmm.
it as far as your thoughts and your commitment. How much commitment are you going to put into that plan of action that you've created for yourself? What would you need? Some people may not need to start out borrowing money. Some people might need to start out borrowing money. Others may not. Others may just need to work the skill and grow the business up. Other businesses would require some kind of capital in order to put up some of the equipment per se, or get a location and all those things. But you cannot do all of that unless you've done your work. Your work meaning you've done your market research. You've actually established a marketing plan. You've gotten a good niche that would, I don't want to say guarantee because nothing on this earth is guaranteed, but that can secure you at least some initial sales in your business. And then you also have to make sure you are committed to satisfy that initial business scale that you have for yourself. Because as you produce and everything at that moment becomes critical, especially in the beginning of your business. The way you handle your customers, your customer service, the way you match up to your competition. Because you've got to stand out in a way that would give you repeat customers or bring you a market that is loyal to you. And you don't get those by just taking somebody's money and feeding it into a business that you're not managing and selling properly. You can't do that. And then sometimes when you borrow the money, sometimes you may not need to borrow the money at all. You may need to work a little bit harder and then use the money that you get from the initial business to reinvest in it. So again, businesses are different. And then while you're doing the business, you really have to pay attention to everything that's happening around you. At a huge scale, small scale, you should be doing something like a SWOT analysis or a personal analysis, checking the politics in your area, checking the environment, checking the social and economic factors in there, checking the threats that you have around your business. You know, if whether just little things, what are the technology difficulties that you may have or you need to include in your business? There's so much to think of. However, these are not things that are meant to cripple you in your business. These are things to make you stronger so you can anticipate some of your issues. If, for God forbid, a thunderstorm comes or a real bad storm comes and wipes off your business, right? You have no control over that. However, do you have an insurance plan that can secure you picking back up from your business after such a thing, right? So depending on the kind of business that you're doing, if it's a location where you need a location, what kind of location are you in? Do you have the right zoning, the right licenses for that business? Are you paying your taxes on time? Are you making sure that you're just adhering to all the compliance rules in that space of business of yours? If you're in the marketing business, are you taking advantage of the social media? Are you taking advantage of all the ways, word of mouth, referrals? What kind of promotions do you have to get more people into your business or buying into your business? There's so much to look at. All of this don't necessarily impact every business. They have different variations as to how you can tackle it. So depending on the kind of business that you're doing, let's just look at all the areas that will impact your side of business and we explore all the options and make sure we're prepared. Start small, think big, but start small so you can leverage your growth and measure it as time goes in. Put that action in, put that time in, be committed to your own business.
Wow, that's amazing. And I love the bit about, pairing for even the bad things. I mean, we're in this period where there's this pandemic and some businesses have literally just been shut out and no one could have seen that coming. But
Right.
how are they rebounding? What's your bounce back plan?
Correct.
Was it the one income stream and so you have nothing else to fall back on? Um, you know, uh, how do you pick yourself up from here? Can you
Yes.
still see, literally, now that you know where we are, have your lens for what is possibly coming or the new normal?
Hmm.
Can you still see opportunities? So you can save that which you have and redirect it into another place rather than lament for too long. And for some people, it might be a season of going back and finding a job, isn't it? And finding that
Correct.
area to just get that capital back in again. If you're
Right.
still breathing, still alive, there's hope.
You have an
You have
opportunity
an opportunity.
every time. When you
Yeah,
wake up the next day, it's an opportunity to fix everything you didn't get right the day before.
yeah. Because I found it quite sad. I was reading an article recently. Quite a few people, even in this time, have committed suicide because their businesses have failed. They've got commitments on debt. You were saying earlier, you don't always have to borrow because I guess the downside of borrowing is you do feel that, oh, I've got that yoke around my neck, and it's something so easy to do when you're getting the money, but when you can't pay it for whatever reason, it can be such a strain and distress. And you know, when you take out the money, usually you think you can pay it back. But when life circumstances happen, you lose a spouse and we're working as a team. There's so much going on at the moment. What encouragement would you say to people out there who are really in that place of, whoa, things are not quite working out? Have you got any words of, you know,
Yes. So I want to encourage anyone who thinks they are going through something similar to what you said. You are not your business. You are not any of the things that you do in life. The one thing that you have is life. When you have life, you have the greatest gift of, and I'm not trying to sound all spiritual. I'm not trying to sound righteous in the sense that people don't struggle. You will struggle. The variations of how our struggles work is different. When you decide that your business was your life, when you decide that your entire life depends on something totally outside of you and your control, that's, to me, it's the ultimate quitting. There's only one thing that can stop someone from succeeding in life. If you're dead, you're dead. If you're still alive, you can beg, you can cry, you can crawl, you can walk, you can do whatever it takes to dig yourself out of whatever mess you put in yourself into. I am the queen of messes. I have gotten myself into messes. I cannot equate it to people who are going through mental issues or depression or things that would cause them to want to take their lives away. That is a whole different issue, right? So if you are at the point where your life is threatened, that is a different kind of help, I would say. This is not a business call at this point. This is really about your well-being. And no one wants to do business when they're not in a good place. So we recommend there's no amount of stress on this earth. As a person who struggled, I have not had mental issues. I have had people come through. I've had friends, families suffer from those kind of issues. We've got to know these are things that could affect someone who's in business. So when you see those situations, person is struggling, but what they're struggling with is not really the business. They're struggling with their well-being, their health, their mental state, their mental stability, their emotional being. We need to take care of our people. So I would advise those people never to isolate themselves. Even if we may not understand what it is, find there's always someone. Seek out for help. Seek out even other people you think may have been through similar things to you. Seek help and get that sorted out. That's one leg of it. I will never encourage anyone to struggle alone. There's always help out there. So that's number one. Number two, if it's an actual business debt, business failure, business, whatever it is, remember the thing about failing? You're going to fail. Unfortunately, sometimes we fail in ways that are extremely tough to handle, right? But everyone can get back up from what it is they're doing. Usually, what stops us from succeeding, and when you see people getting into those states where it becomes an issue, set your ego aside. Just put the ego aside. Just put it aside and do what you need to do to get yourself back up, pay back your debts, do what you have to do. You will not be the first, as is often said with us in Africa, you will not be the last. So there's help out there. Look at your environment, look at your society, and see what kind of help there is available. If it's family and friends, you need to go and beg again. Put your ego to the side and go and beg. They'll help you out. But make sure when you're asking for that help, make them understand you've learned from your lesson. It was you acknowledge what it is you did wrong, right? Because a lot of the times we always think it's somebody else's fault. It's not our fault.
Blame game.
Your own responsibility to that. Because I'm not going to help you if you cannot acknowledge that you didn't do things correctly. Show me some steps on how you're going to make things better, and then I'll help you out. Find out if your community or your environment has things like insurance, like some kind of insurance. If there's some kind of insurance, business insurance, some kind of liability things that you can pay towards to ensure that you don't get into that situation, tap into it, right? If there's a support in our community, we have things like Njangi, like small susu houses, you name it, all those communities where you can go put in a little bit of money and contribute, and then your turn can come, and then you can take that money and go pay off your debt. You do it. And then there's many options. There's no reason for anyone in our society to not be successful because they hit a glitch or they hit a failure or an obstacle or a stumbling block. No, as long as you have life, take responsibility for your actions, move on, and let's do what we need to do. Every day, I'll tell you right now, I'm the first to admit, I'm still paying for some of the things I did wrong. In my bouncing around, in my search for what I wanted to do, in my search for who I am. I may have found out what it is I'm passionate about. I may have found out what skill I can market out there. But as I market these skills and as I'm passionate about what I do today, I am still paying for my mistakes that I did. I'm not blaming anyone for it. It was hard for me to accept that I did not do well. It was hard for me to accept that I could have done some things better. But my excuse is I didn't know any better at the time. But my responsibility is take care of all of that right now. Do what you have to do to take care of it. You see what I mean? So no one is a blame. Everybody will fail. And someone tells you they have not failed in an area in their life, please run away from that person as fast as possible.
They're not telling the truth. And
you know what they're doing. It's a lie.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much. That's wealth worth of wisdom and so much passion for me. I don't know if anyone's got any questions that you would love to ask our guest Judith today. All you business owners out there, I can see Samantha taking notes, and Tinashe and Ronai, thank you for watching. It's wonderful to have you come and just pour out your heart and just give us some trails. And somebody has got anything that they can market and sell and put out there. And you've just given us a wealth of wisdom today, of even how to pick yourself up after you've fallen flat on your face. As long as you still have breath in you, you can pick yourself up. There's help out there. There's support out there. Even if it's not from your circle of friends because you've messed that up, there's still other support out there that you can go to. But thank you so much, Judith. That was just awesome. And I'm going to ask you to pray. On Conversations, we like to pray for people. I'm a believer, and I know you are too, because I guess sometimes it just needs, God to intervene in our businesses and the passions that we have and collaborating everything. together as we move forward. We're in unprecedented times, they say. When you watch the news, I mean, today it was like 20% negative growth in the whole economy. So, boots are shaking when you look at your direct debits and it's like, am I going to be able to make them? But yeah, could you just say a prayer for our small business owners out there, for people who want to get into business? Yeah, for God to just uphold them and give them boldness and strength and courage, to cut the losses where they need to cut them, to make the changes where they need to make them. Yeah, I'll just leave it to you.
Okay, so my parting prayer or motivational word of prayer would be, for one, we have to be grateful. Gratitude for life. Because
Mm,
without the life, we can't do anything that we would want to do. No matter how big, how small, life is what gives you the opportunity to do that. So let's be grateful. That's the first thing. And no matter your faith, we've got to acknowledge there's some divinity out there that's in control of everything that we do. And it's that same divinity or that same power that we have to ask to guide our steps, to guide our thoughts, to guide us so we can discover our whys. Why are we here on earth? Be grateful for life. Ask, if you don't already know it, why you're here on earth. Seek to understand how to pursue that dream, how to pursue that passion, how to produce that business for yourself. Once you've been given the wisdom on how to go about it, seek to take the necessary actions that you need to take for that business and that passion. The path is not always going to be easy. And as you all know, we were not told it was going to be easy, but one thing is for sure. If you put in the amount of effort, you put in the commitment, you put in your faith, you put in your heart, and you put in your work into that passion, it always pans out. The road might be slippery, but it will pan out. The other thing is, once you've also been given that exaltation in discovering your passion and in understanding what it is your purpose is on earth and giving you the strength to do it every day, I ask that you turn around and contribute and give back to the same society, to the same world that offered you that opportunity. And that means you share your skill, you share your knowledge, you do whatever you have to do, because only you are blessed in the ways in which you are blessed to provide what it is you have to provide. And then the other thing is, whatever your faith is, whatever your religion is, do your part in your community, do your part to serve that community well, and also whatever your government or your state or your structure is, make sure you're paying your taxes in that area, make sure you're adhering to all the rules, make sure you're being a divine citizen of the world in which you live. Be your brother and sister's keeper. At the same time, help out wherever necessary, because if you sow a good seed of work, faith, and a gratitude and just belief, you are absolutely going to reap what was meant for you, discovering your why and being the successful business owner or business person that you have to be. I thank you all for the opportunity to having spoken to you from my heart today and sharing my experiences with you. And I know that on this call, someone has discovered how to get about their path, their vision in life. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Judith. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Please share it with your friends and family. I'm going to put how you can get in touch with Judith on her page. She's got a YouTube channel and releases so much inspiration. I don't know about you, but I've just been enjoying this conversation and the wisdom that comes out of you so much. May God continue to bless you and increase you and enlarge your territory and everything that you are doing in this season and beyond. And yeah, look forward to more gleanings later on, more conversations with you. But thank you all for watching, and God bless you all.
Thank you.